think someone dropped a soup can on his head.
Now we're live. Good
Oh.
morning, traders. Welcome to Tuesday's edition of Pre-Market Info, brought to you by OptionsHouse. Joe,
Yeah, OptionsHouse, woo!
Joe, how you doing this morning?
I'm pretty good today, and it sounds like the peanut gallery's doing pretty well too.
Yeah, well,
we're all upset about the Fister trade in Detroit. Everybody's mad this morning.
Shh, don't talk about it.
yeah, don't talk about sports around Joe.
All right.
But I was a little late to work this morning.
Tell us why, Joel.
Well, there was a lot of drone traffic out there.
Oh, hey.
Oh, the drones.
Look out, drones,
Delivery
everyone! No.
drones.
Well, listen, but to tell you the truth, that the reason I don't think this whole drone thing is going to work out is the first thing I thought about when they start talking about drones. When I was a kid, I'm sure you guys did it too. Did you ever throw snowballs at cars?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, but don't tell my
I mean,
parents.
we're all
That's
adults
what
here.
you,
We can
Joel,
admit to
isn't
making
that violent
mistakes.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, like the best thing is you hit the car and some dude will come out and chase you.
That was awesome.
You're
I
a
love
bad
that.
kid.
Yeah, and so the only thing I'm thinking about is, kids with BB guns and stuff, and the drones are coming in. They're gonna be picking them off. I mean, I just don't see. I mean, I know a lot of things have changed in my lifetime, but I just can't see packages being delivered by drones. What do you guys think?
Well,
Kids aren't violent nowadays, though. They don't watch the violent cartoons anymore. So we have them all protected. They don't do stuff like that anymore. With all that.
I was gonna say, like, a lot of things have changed since Joel was a kid decades ago, but BB guns are still the same. I'm actually gonna have to go with Joel on this one. And though, Joel, Bloomberg is on your side because they anticipate that the FAA is not going to allow these drones to actually deliver anything for Amazon.
Right.
So what are you telling me? Should I short Amazon because they're not going to get the drones? Is
Uh,
that what you're telling me?
I'm not telling you anything, Dennis. But yeah, so less than 24 hours after Jeff Bezos makes his 60 Minutes announcement, the Federal Aviation Administration said yesterday that it doesn't allow any commercial unmanned flights now, and judging by the guidelines as recent as earlier in November, it won't allow the robotic trips envisioned by Bezos either.
And what about the weather? I mean, these things going to be affected. No drone delivery today because of bad weather.
No, slow drone delivery, just like when it rains or snows and everybody slows down to a crawl.
You know what? I did mention it to Lisa, and you know what the first thing she said was?
What's that?
Harry Potter. Did you guys? Was there some?
Oh, right, like get an owl or a cat instead to deliver, or like Game of Thrones, send a raven with the package.
Exactly. So she made that analogy. And Dennis, you're probably all over that. You're like the huge Star Wars fan and stuff, right? You probably like that analogy.
Oh yeah, all over that one, Joel. All over that. On that note,
Wait. Before we do that, I just want to tell you the street is not convinced about these drones as well. We got the chart up here of iRobot Corporation here, and it was definitely sell the news on this stock
what's the
yesterday.
symbol on that iRobot thing?
Guess.
IRBT.
Oh,
You
he got it.
He got it.
Ah.
Okay, so
Urbit.
Yep, Urbit, that
Urbit.
stock. It was sell the news on the 60 Minutes piece here. Who needs to read Barron's? Just watch 60 Minutes and fade that show. It's only been around for, 50 years? But anyways, iRobot, and then the same thing with AV. I mean, it was definitely sell the news in these stocks. So we'll have to see what transpires. And talking about other things that are going down here, how about the S&Ps, Dennis?
Look at you, Joel, with the call. He was tweeting at me yesterday saying 1,800 this is your last chance. You got to hit 1,800 as the last chance before we see 1,775. You're 5 points in the money there, Joel. You still got your price target of 1,775 by the end of the week here?
We need some follow through this morning low at 93 and a quarter. 92 even was your 6-day low. It's being protected here. So if we can get through 92 even here early in the session, it will build my confidence even more because there's no support until that low you had on November 21st. It's 1775.75.
Hey, how
Overnight high has been 1801.75, so you did get another shot at that 1800 level overnight if you were up early in the morning, but I don't know if you're going to get another shot. Definitely resistance forming up there, so I will give you that because we had that whole support area 1801 to 1804. Got to think if we get back up there, it is going to be some few sellers. And if you like my 2-day move theory, we did have the sell-off in the afternoon, so maybe we do get a little bit of follow-through here today.
Hey, Dennis, we got a question right off the hop here coming from PDJ.
PDJ.
Yeah, PDJ. That's peanut butter, maybe and jelly, or peanut butter and jelly here.
Peanut butter.
But X, we haven't talked about that. Dennis, you like to talk about the dogs. Is this dog that's going to bark this year? Or,
it's been barking. X has been barking since September. It's been on a hell of a run, really. Down here at $18 at the beginning of the month. Got to 28.41 just about 10 trading sessions ago, but now has kind of fallen off here. We are at critical support for this stock. We had multiple lows in early November just above the 26 handle. We did take it out 5 trading sessions ago at 25.76. Got to stay above that 25.76 low. I do not want to see this fall below there because there was a lot of air below there.
Someone, I believe it was last week, that little gap down was a downgrade, so I'm not sure who, I think it was Morgan, or I'm not sure who it was, but they took it down to the $26 level here. It's holding. Have to agree with you on this one, Dennis. You did at that support levels coinciding with the high, the breakout high at $25.91. So I'd like to see this hold in here, hold this $26 level just for a day or two, and then we can go up. I don't like the way the rest of the 26 handle works, just that straight up day here, but I like to support at 26 here. So if you're looking for perhaps a dog to bark, X could be the one.
Joel, I think you were thinking of Wells Fargo downgraded to underperform on the 22nd.
Oh my gosh,
This
Brent.
Benzinga news desk is
Oh
good.
my
They
God.
hunt this stuff down for us, folks. AKS getting upgraded at Bank America, though, so I don't know if that's going to have any effect on X or not, but AKS is trading up 9 cents here in the pre-market, $5 stock on that Bank America upgrade. And this is a stock that has been on a tear, and this is a dog that has been barking for the entire month of November. This stock started down around $4.15 at the beginning of November and is now trading at $5.66 here in the pre-market, so it's been on a tear. One steel stock's done very, very well.
Double bottom 554, 557. So that's your short-term support here. And how does Alcoa fit into this whole thing here, Dennis? I didn't Goldman put them on the super you have to own buy at the market list or something like that?
I think so. We got that big pop up that day when we spiked up from the 925 area all the way up to 974. We've kind of hung out for 4 or 5 days on double A here since then. The low after that upgrade was 943. So that's the low I'm looking at that Alcoa needs to hold for the bulls to still have a case here. Obviously below that you got the whole gap area down to 927. So a lot of air below 943, but as long as it holds above there, I think the bulls still have a case.
Okay, before we move on to the other things, JH3 is popping in with his daily or weekly Sun Edison question here. He's this consolidation pattern here.
Major
again.
consolidation.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
It's got to stay above $12, obviously. That's where you had all those lows, but we are forming some major resistance here, too. And, I mean, you could argue here that this is starting to kind of form a little bit of a cup and handle. I mean, kind of a bullish chart looking here. If you could get above 1315 and then start to approach that 1354 high, could be off to the races, but I don't know here yet. I think I'd sit on my hands until we start really breaking above 1315.
I think JH3 is probably trying to protect profits on the downside here, and that $12. Yeah, $12. I think that's too long for him to ride it. You got 3 lows between 1258 and 1271 there, so I'd keep an eye, go in the middle there, 1269. I'd keep that as major support. If not, we could be looking down to the $12 level, but I'd like to see that triple bottom hold.
Keep in mind, though, JH3, that Joel is looking for the end of the world this week, so he's going to have a little bit of bearish theme in his overall comments, probably on individual stocks as well.
Just till Friday. That's when my options.
Just till
Friday.
Let's move on to some of the other individual equities that have reported. KKD, Krispy creamed last night.
Still my favorite
21,
donut. Just want to throw that out there. It's still my favorite.
Are you eating Krispy Kreme donuts this morning there, Joe?
Krispy Kreme, I mean, they're not good for you, but, if it comes to a choice of donut, Krispy Kreme is where it's at.
They're not good for your portfolio either right now. 24.55 the close. The stock is trading down at 21.26. Reported earnings in line, 16 cents versus 16 cents. The revenue number missed, 114.2 million versus analyst estimates of 117.67 million. So very light on the revenue, and they are creaming the stock this morning.
You are forming a base, though. You did hit the $21 level, 21.04, 21.05 has been the low, and then you're just kind of creeping up base in. I mean, here you go, down 13%, $3 on a $24 stock. If you've been holding this thing short, this is kind of like a cream come true, right? Instead of a dream.
Now,
But
that one was pretty good. I like that one.
looking at the low here, you also had a low at the 21.11. 21.11 on October 4th, so keeping a close eye on at $21 level. 20 handle doesn't look that well supported, but just being down that much. But personally, my favorite here is what's Duncan
NKN.
DNKN.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just can't compete with Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, I'm upgrading Dunkin' Donuts based on the fact that I had coffee and hot chocolate at my tailgate, and I picked up like two 10-cup containers. It was 25 degrees out in that little plastic thing. Kept it warm for a good 2.5 hours. So
A little anecdotal evidence.
yeah, that Krispy Kreme, those donuts are too expensive.
Well, if you can even find one.
Yeah, there's really none around here, but yeah, Dunkin' over Krispy Kreme.
We used to have one in Windsor, but it didn't last long either. It closed down. Canadians don't like dollar donuts.
How could
so
they compete with Tim Hortons? I mean, come
They
on.
can't compete with Tim
Gosh,
Hortons.
I wish I could have shorted that right off the bat.
Tim Hortons has a monopoly on the Canadian coffee and donut market. Everybody goes there. It seems like every day. And that stock actually, look at that Tim Hortons stock since its IPO. I know Jim Cramer was coming out saying his kids didn't even like the donuts and this was a garbage IPO. And it was like $25 when it came out. Here we are 6 years later, Jim Cramer's stock's up at $60.
What's
so.
what's the symbol on that?
THI.
I was close on it. THI. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a good day yesterday. I don't know what the news was, if there was news on this thing yesterday, but it really spiked up there yesterday from the whole $58 area up to $59.29. So I don't know if Krispy Kreme has any effect on Tim Hortons at all, but we'll have to see. I highly doubt that it affects Tim Hortons whatsoever. Speaking of Canadian companies, though, we did have one report. BMO, Bank of Montreal, big Canadian bank, reported earnings this morning, $1.64 versus $1.57, and $4.19 billion versus $4.05 billion. They're also announcing a 15 million share buyback, and raising the quarterly dividend, showing you U.S. banks how it's done.
So you said this is a big bank, so they have 5 or 6 branches.
Actually, some of the Canadian banks are getting very large there, because actually through the financial crisis, the Canadian banks performed quite well, and they were actually scooping up a lot of U.S. regionals and stuff too. So some of these big Canadian banks like TD and Royal, some of these things are actually getting pretty big. So Bank Montreal, I'm not sure the market cap Benzinga team wants to go hunt that down, but it's a pretty massive company actually.
Do you consider this an ADR?
No, not really, because it's Toronto, so it's definitely not an ADR, but it's not. But do I consider us lagging the Canadian price? Probably. So your leader still is Toronto Stock Exchange. So obviously, if you are trading this, it's getting priced off of Toronto, but they keep it pretty close in line. Those bots are pretty good. Those those bots that keep the prices between the two exchanges in line. So usually you'll have like a 5 or 6 cent spread just trading off of the Canadian price. So it's fairly liquid over here. Not super liquid, but fairly liquid.
Getting a little pop in the pre-market here, trading up 20 cents, 69.45 here, just kind of hanging out. Don't see, see some major resistance in this thing. You've had a nice run. This thing has held up, along with American banks. 69 even. You gotta love that as far as support. Coming up on the upside, minor resistance. Yesterday's high 69.77, and then we'll see if this is enough to get it into the 70 handle. Just one interesting thing in this issue: since hitting 70.77, you've had 4 lower highs. So see if you can break that trend today.
got a lot of other ones that you could just could be moving in sympathy here. TD, I think they report later in the week. Symbol TD, and they've all kind of got identical charts. These things really, really move closely together. So if you look at them, TD, RY is another one. Those charts are almost identical to the BMO. So keep an eye on BMO. If you're trading any of these other Canadian banks, you could see some pretty decent sympathy moves in a few of these other ones. CM's another one, which is CIBC, and BNS is the other big one, which is the Scotiabank. But all the charts very similar.
Okay, yeah, I mean, they both have had some sell-offs, finding support here, so we'll look for BMO to be the leader.
Big upgrade here. Apple upgrading, or UBS is upgrading Apple. Stock is trading up over $4 here this morning. It held the 550 just barely, because I was like saying the stock needs to hold 550 if it's going to continue its bull run. It got up, made a new high on the move of 564.32, and then just peeled back. Went into steep sell-off mode there yesterday on around lunchtime. Made a low just above the 550 area. Started popping up, closed kind of weak near that low at 551.23. Now it's trading up almost $5 off 556 on the UBS upgrade.
Yeah, it did get a pop-up to 560s, kind of been consolidating here. But what do you think? This is one of these upgrades after a steep sell-off here. You think they just maybe want to get out of a little bit more stock here, and they're out here selling in the pre-market? Because this is it's kind of bucking the trend of the market here. Are you tempted to go with this upgrade, buy this thing off the open?
No, I think you've got this overall market pressure putting this on. It's already priced in $5. Do I think it could go up 6 or 7? Yeah. Do I think it could go up 10 today? Probably not. So I think the risk reward is probably not there to chase this upgrade at this point in time. If I could pick the stock up at 552, 551 today, above that 550 low from yesterday, I might try that down there. But I think you're chasing a bit here. I think you might get it cheaper.
Yeah, I think that if I was holding on to this thing the way it closed yesterday, long term, my portfolio here, you had a 30-some point rally. I think people could use this opportunity to lighten up. Perhaps sell some calls, get a little nice premium off that pop, or maybe get the 550 puts real cheap.
And then you got Tesla. I know you're upset about this one, Joel. Morgan Stanley making it one of their top picks in the auto sector there. Up $5 here this morning on that Morgan Stanley call. 129.15 is where it's trading at. Closed at 124.17. You got out of those calls a little bit too early, didn't you?
Yeah, well, if you buy puts on the market, you can't own calls in anything.
So you bought the puts and you got all your whole bear
well, yeah,
sheets.
I
You
bought
sold every long and every
yeah, I know, liquidated my. No, I bought some some spider puts, and I was hoping that thing was going to get over 130 pretty quickly in the session. It wasn't rallying with the market here, so I tell you though, if I wouldn't have dumped them yesterday, I'd be selling into this too. This 130 level, we had a high at 130.59, I believe, on Friday. So I think you need to get the close above 130 to get this thing in motion. But it's had earnings. I just I don't really see what the driver is. I mean, an upgrade. Okay, great, you're giving me an upgrade. Where were you when the stock was breaking out at $40?
Yeah, I was not on that one, that's for sure. Yum, trading down here $1.70 at $76 right now, closed at 77.71. China same store sales up 1%. I guess they're a little disappointed with that. They were expecting the full year 14 EPS to be up at least 20%. You'd think that would be good news, but it's not this morning for the stock. And did this, check out the after hours action. I believe this did spike up originally when this broke after 4 o'clock last night, but they turned around and they've punished the stock here now, and it's trading down $1.70.
79.71 was the.
Come on.
Yeah.
Did they hit that up to 79.71?
Yep, and then they went.
Somebody news algo.
Yep.
There you go.
75 even, took it down to 75 even, and then we got into pop. But just speaking of news algos, Dennison, we're going to be doing that webinar tomorrow afternoon on
Thursday.
News, yeah,
Thursday.
That's correct. Thursday on info arbitrage, and this is a great example of something being overshot on the news, and really on both sides of the market. But kind of a scary chart here for Yum. Look at all those. Look at all those lows bunching up.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Look at that tight. Oh my gosh. Look at the ranges. I mean, you did have that 76 88 low in between there. But besides that, you had 4 or 5 lows in the 77.40, 77.50 area. Buck and a half away from there, so I'd keep an eye on that. We are trading at the gap level here, 76. That was a low when you had to sprint up over the $78 level. In order to fill the gap, 75.15. I don't like the way this chart looks under 76.
Yeah, it does look scary. It's all air, and we always say what rises quickly can fall quickly there, and there's a lot of air below here. So I don't know if this would be actually one that I would be coming and picking up bottom here on this morning. McDonald's having a little sympathy move, was having a sympathy move here actually. It was trading down, actually traded down Mickey D's down to 95.39. Somebody painting the tape down there. But $96 is where it was trading at when we started the show. All of a sudden it's trading up here. Is there news on Mickey D's? It's up at 96.58. Somebody just bought 96.70. It's bid at 96.52. Did something break on Mickey D's in the last 5 minutes?
I'm on it.
He's on it. I haven't seen anything either.
Closed right on support. 96.33 was your low in yesterday's trading. Low at the 96.40 area on the 15th, and then go back a little bit farther, 96.32. So basically, you got a major support level here below 96.30. I do not like Mickey D's here at all. I mean, it did have that rally up from the 94.50 area, but be looking at 96.30. If that doesn't hold, it's also going to be the fourth time down there. So we'll see what happens when it goes to that level. Coming back on the upside here. We don't really have any major resistance until you get into the 97 handle. 97.29 was yesterday's high.
Getting a little bit more breaking news here. UNH, the CEO of this is from the Benzinga Pro, CEO of United Health, speaking at CEO of United Health speaking at investor conference, expecting modest earnings growth in 2015, expecting growth to accelerate in 2016. Stock has not traded off of that headline here yet. It's 74.08 bid to 74.20. This is a stock that has been on an absolute tear, though. We were down at the beginning or end of October near $66. It ran basically $9 in November, up to just over $75. A little bit of a pullback day yesterday, closed fairly strong, 74.16. But what do you think of this chart there, Joel?
Someone's got a piece at 75, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I see a little bit in the book there, but it looks like somebody's, liquidating something in front of $75 because 75 looking absolutely enormous here on the chart.
Yeah, it's 3 out of the last 4 highs between 93 and 99, so a big seller at the point here. Not really moving on that news. It's kind of longer term news. Do not like this thing under 73.64. Had another low at 73.79 on the 25th. But below that, it opens up for another buck here. And, there hasn't been much talk about Obamacare. And, that's kind of quieted down a little bit. But, we're still waiting to see what the official plan is going to be and, how it's going to affect these insurance companies.
Yeah, I like the other ones, obviously, in the sector. Humana is a huge one, HUM, which honestly has just been on a tear this year as well. That's all-time highs, I believe, for Humana, 105.25 that it kissed again yesterday. So even in the last month, this thing's been on a tear. But if you look from the last year, UNH started the year, I think it was back around $70. So it's been, an awesome year for some of these insurers. Another one, CI, is another big one. Been on an absolute tear. Started the year around $55, is up at 87. So a lot of these things, obviously are are looking pretty good on the charts here. I don't know if eventually this run starts to come off here a little bit, because the CI pulling back a little bit here a couple days ago. So interesting that one didn't make a new high with the Humana run yesterday.
Right, having a little problems with the chart there. I guess it's not liking these healthcare stocks here.
I wanted to move on to a different sector here just briefly. Visa trading down significantly here. Last night it was trading down. I was trying to find the news. It was trading down significantly after hours. I couldn't really find anything. I was really searching the news wires. I was actually even on Twitter. I went everywhere searching for news. Nobody could find any. Everybody was asking for the news. Well, this morning they are doing an offering, secondary offering here. 8 million shares, looks like, by JP Morgan. Looks like they're pricing it somewhere between 201.25 and 201.75. The stock is trading down. This took the market by surprise. surprise for sure. It's trading down $5 right now at 200 even after closing at 205.13.
So what's your strategy on those offerings like that?
Well, usually they go down to the offering price. This is actually trading below the offering price. Well, the projected offering price here, 201.25, 201.75. I always say those offering prices can act like a magnet here to the price. When they start going below it, then that's interesting. That's interesting that if you're trying to price this out, who the hell is going to even buy it at 201.25 to 201.75 when you can buy it in the open market at 200? So that's interesting too. So they may have to lower that even further if the stock continues to trade down here. But you've got MasterCard offered down in sympathy, obviously, with this offering as well. But the stock made a new all-time high yesterday, a 205.07 or a 206.49, and now all of a sudden they do it in a secondary. So that really took the market by surprise here.
Just looking at the pre-market here in the shares of Visa, just kind of holding here at the $200 level. You made a 199.90 low. Let's just take a look at MasterCard here, see if we kind of getting a sympathy move. Just kind of hanging out, tick down a little bit. Let's take a look at the daily. Wow, this thing is really holding in here. Where was this MasterCard? Let's see. 752.95 here was the last trade, trading down $3. Probably not a bad time to do a secondary, right? With your stock up at a high price like this, get some money in the coffers.
Well, I guess that's what Visa's thinking anyways. So, you always see these companies do the secondary offerings when they're at the lows when they need the money. So I guess Visa's thinking, well, do a secondary when our stock price is high here and put the money to good use and make more money. So, but that MasterCard chart is starting to look a little bit toppy there. I still got those shares that I've had for years. You've been trying to make me sell that thing since $200. I think, Joel, 765 has been a big number on that one.
All right. PDJ's just meant we just going back to that healthcare sector a little bit. He's been playing it through a closed-end fund called HQH here, and that's kind of reflecting the activity of these healthcare stocks. What do you see on this chart, Dennis, besides
Toppy.
that? Yeah, besides that triple top, for sure a double top at 26.18, and now they're high 26.30, 26 and a quarter, 26.14, 26.24. Wow, you got 5-6 highs there in an area someone's trying to wiggle out here. So we'll see if it can climb back into the $26 handle. Coming back on the downside, two lows, 25.59 to 70. That should be good support here, but this looks like it's almost trade by appointment only here. Traded 47,000 shares yesterday.
Looking at this Abercrombie and Fitch trading up here. What's the news there, Brent? You got that news on Abercrombie? Because it's trading up here 40 cents right now.
Yeah,
Closed
absolutely.
at 34.02, is up at 34.40 right now.
So there was a letter sent to Abercrombie's board from a firm called Engaged Capital. They are urging the ANF board to initiate a CEO search or do a possible sale.
So they're putting a little bit of pressure on there.
A little bit of fund pressure, that is right.
Stock actually has been one of your biggest laggards of the year. A lot of these apparel retailers from the malls, they just haven't been doing well, and Abercrombie is one that hasn't been doing well at all. It's found some major consolidation, major support down here in this whole $32 to $33 area. So it is, coming off of, a good base here with this news. Do you think we get some follow through here, Joel?
No, not at all.
No.
Never heard of them. $35, $34.98 was the pop. You got in the pre-market, they beat it right back down to $34.40. That's currently where we're trading. Consolidation in this issue here. Look at all those lows, Dennis. I mean, 3-5 lows within 20 cents of each other. So comes back down there. That's good. That's good support. That's where I'd be looking to pick it up if I actually wanted to purchase this stock. But I can remember going to the malls a long time ago, and did they ever Abercrombie and Fitch? Did they used to sell like really cool, like unique, like stuff that you couldn't, like not like antiques and stuff. They didn't sell these teeny bopper clothes. I think it Am I thinking of the same store? Or am I
Mm.
just dating
I
myself?
think they've always been kind of teeny boppers. I've always thought
No,
they were more
not
teeny
no,
bopper
no.
clothes.
We'll
But
have to get Jake on that. See if he
ooh,
can.
anybody shop at Abercrombie in the office there? Anybody Abercrombie fans?
No.
Oh, Joe, I've
No.
seen you with that little ANF on your shirt before, or someone I
Joel,
have.
how could you even read that without your glasses from across the room?
I only need reading glasses, Joe.
Actually, I don't think I've been in a Abercrombie since I was in high school, so that's at least a decade.
So you're telling me that the older people aren't shopping at Abercrombie? They better keep the teeny boppers happy.
Yep.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, didn't the CEO come out saying that like fat people can shop somewhere else?
Did he say that?
Yeah. Like
Wow.
they don't make certain sizes of clothing because they don't want those people shopping in their stores.
Wow.
You know what?
Well,
I used to
that's
go.
horrible. What? Do you know when he said that? Did he say that back on the big down day?
That was earlier this year, I think,
Earlier this year. Wow.
or
That's
at least in the last 4 or 5 months.
You know what? I can remember, like when I was like 7 or 8 years old, buying a book in Abercrombie and Fitch, and it was like a book of like historical facts, and it was called "Tell Me Why." And I'm gonna go dig that book up out of the archives, and I'm telling you that they used to sell like
Like vintage stuff? Is that what you're thinking?
they used to sell like binoculars and
Oh,
Oh,
like-
well, they used to do like the safari
exploration.
gear and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna
That
have
might
to,
be a good call, Joel.
I'm gonna have to do some research here after the show, and just to let you know, I'm about to cry here. Tesla's trading at 132 and a quarter here.
holy cow.
Yeah,
Tesla off
my
to the
one,
races.
yeah, my 130 calls are probably worth like $500 right now a piece. But and I even went a week out on that one, and then held them over the
Oh, you got
weekend.
a hold.
And then I paid up the premium, and I waited another week, and then dump them on Monday.
Oh.
That's one. All right. Anyways, Dennis, what else are we covering here today?
Disney got a downgrade. B. Riley and Company. It's actually, not a huge influential broker there, but it is knocking the stock down pretty significantly here in the pre-market. It's down 60 cents right now, trading at 70.36. Went out at 70.91. Man, the House of Mouse has been on a tear. That thing has just been unbelievable for the last 2 years. 2 years ago, this thing was down like $35. It's doubled here in 2 years. Disney, but it's kind of looking a little toppy too. Some of these, I'm almost starting to get scared of your whole premise of this market going lower here, because a lot of these charts, individual stocks are looking toppy too. You had major resistance up there in the Disney and the whole 71 and a quarter area, 3 highs in the same area, and now pulling back $1 here. Not good news for the House of Mouse.
Did they put out that movie Frozen, or is that somebody else?
I think that's a Disney movie.
That
think
was
it-
Disney.
That was Disney, because our ratings analyst in the office was just raving about that movie. Even though it's 3D, I may go see it. But perhaps that's giving a boost to the stock on the upside. But on the downside here, the downgrade here, 70.36. I mean, less than 1,000 shares have traded. So take a look at the daily chart here. You did have a double bottom. This right where it's trading, 70.39.46. Your lows from last week, Thursday and Friday. So I'd use that area as support. If it breaks through there, you could definitely see the point 69.90 is your 4-day low.
Well, how is Lionsgate doing, LGF? Because didn't Hunger Games Catching Fire knock Frozen out of the top spot over the weekend?
It did. Indeed.
Yeah, well, Lionsgate here.
Had a crazy move yesterday, I tell you.
Yeah,
Yesterday was a crazy move. That
Big
thing got up
sell.
all the way to 33.37. So somebody got really excited. They watched the movie, loved it, and they bought it right off the bat and rallied almost $2.
Ew.
Then gave the whole thing back. So
Probably bought shares while they were sitting in the movie theater via a mobile device.
maybe they did. But
maybe a OptionsHouse mobile device.
Yeah, maybe it was one of the 150 commission-free trades that OptionsHouse offers.
He
it
paid a
was.
lot more in the commission if he bought it here on this one. What do you think about this one, Dennis? You had that big move up, the big sell-off. Are you looking to scoop this up around 31.40? Leading on that 31.34 low, or you don't like that kind of reverse?
No, because when I see something, spike up like that on pretty good news, obviously the movie is great, and it can't hold on to the gains. That's telling me too many participants were playing it from that way, and too many participants are probably sitting here saying, it'll get back up there. I think this thing's going to probably have another weak day today. I don't know why. If it takes out the low 31.34 from yesterday, you obviously have the low from a few days ago at 30.88. But where I'm really looking at major support is right around that $30 area, and I would not be surprised if this stock actually sees that this week.
And what if you were short this thing coming in here? Would you hold out for that $30 level?
Yep,
or would you,
I would.
You would, huh? You
Yeah, but I'm greedy, and I usually let my short profits get away from me. So
right, 34 a few days ago. It's cut through the $32 level. Half of that move. So we'll see if it can hold. Let's take a look at that. Not much pre-market trading going on in here. None at all. But have any of you guys seen the Hunger Game movies? They look kind of scary to me.
I saw the first one, and
first one's good.
It was at the Star Theater right here in Southfield. We were in the big movie theater, and there was 12 people.
Ooh.
So it was like a private viewing.
Oh man,
just for Joe.
Just for Joe.
But I gotta say though that a lot of these like franchises, like the Harry Potter, the Hunger Games, all this and that, I can't get into it. So I wasn't a big fan of the movie. I haven't read the books, and I likely won't see Catching Fire either.
I saw the movie. I thought it was actually pretty good. It made me a little disturbed though after driving out of there. I was like, because they're obviously trying to kill each other in this for games. So I did feel disturbed after watching it. So I have not seen the second one yet though. Has anybody seen the second one?
Nope.
No.
I read some of it.
Oh, well, we got somebody that's read some of it, so...
Well,
don't give it away here, because maybe I'll go to the movie theater and see it, so... I had good intentions. We don't go to the movie theater, me and my wife, that often, but we did go on the weekend, and we were going to go see the second Hunger Games, but then that Captain Phillips, everybody had said that was pretty good, so I'm like, so we switched right at the last second and watched Captain Phillips, and man, I tell you, that was a great movie. I don't know if anybody saw that one, but that Captain Phillips is a really good movie.
I don't think I heard about it even.
No, Tom Hanks.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, Tom Hanks is always solid. They had me at Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks can do no wrong.
He really
Even when
can,
he was
so.
in Joe versus the Volcano, he was good.
he was great in Big.
Oh, that's my favorite Tom.
Big is an awesome movie.
That's like
that's one of the
that's like my childhood.
Big.
All right, back to the stocks, Dennis. What else are we looking at
We
here?
digress again. Let's move on here. Where do you want to go? We've got Google. Google. I was looking at this, looking toppy too, man. Joel, you might have had the call at this market here, this 1800 level, because this Google put in 1, 2, 3 highs, all within $1.50, and pretty much a double top yesterday. 1,066.62, 1,066.35, the high yesterday, and then obviously peeled back here. So somebody obviously not liking Google up there and dumping in that 1,066 area, and the stock's down another $2.50 today, 10.52.
Yeah, 1050 it hit right on the kisser here in the pre-market. Not a lot of shares are trading. Looking at the daily chart here, I mean, what you have to look at in something like this is, where's the next support level, right? 1050.76 was your low from yesterday. And then you got to go back 4 days to 42.94. So you're looking at that's 1050, nice round number to hold. I mean, beneath that, you're looking at 1042.94. That was the 4-day low. You had 2 days of kind of tight ranges. I think we talked about that. An 8-point range on Wednesday, and then 7-point range on Friday. Very rare for the stock. Couldn't get up to that. You could call it a triple top because $1,000 stock, 3 highs within $2 of each other.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, that's a key level. I hate shorting this thing in the hole because it goes against you so fast. So I'll just give you guys a little bit of a swing number here. If you want to kind of, I guess you'd have to use the close there if you just wanted to, stick out and try and catch with a hot knife here. Let's take a look at the close as a possible resistance point.
Let's look at Twitter here too, because we want to talk about a big number. This $42 level, where it topped out 3-4 days 2 weeks ago, it topped out there right on the button yesterday at 42, opened at near the highs. Actually, I think it opened up right near 42, 41.79, got up to 42, and then died. Basically, within 20 minutes, went down to 40.5, bounced, kind of came back up, hung around 41 most of the day, and then closed kind of weak here. What are you thinking on this Twitter? Because that 42 is becoming like the Great Wall of China up there.
42, yep, hit that yesterday, closed at 40.40, or 40.40 low, 40.78 close. You also had that low at 40.35 on Wednesday, so that's a critical level for that to hold. Beneath that, we could slip under 40, the all-time low, 38.80, 38.92. But I was talking, I went to the basketball game with my brother-in-law on Friday, and this just stuck out in my mind. I mean, he's a person that's very much into social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that stuff, and he just refuses to have a Twitter account. I mean, to him, his 9-year-old son does, but I mean, I think to really to be an active Twitterite, I mean, you got to always be wanting to put your thoughts out there, and I mean, I talk a lot. I'm a social person stuff. I do tweet a lot, but I just think there's a segment of the population that just could care less about Twitter.
If your friends aren't on it, like, so, there's a couple ways you can look at this. If you're a young teeny bopper and all your friends are on it, then it's kind of cool because you can all tweet with your friends, and it's kind of like, I guess, Facebook in that way. The other thing is, obviously, if you do have a lot of followers, then, it becomes more exciting. But if you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of friends on there, and you don't have any followers, you can tweet something out, nobody sees it. So, I mean, like, what's the point of that? So you probably struggle, for the new Twitter users. It's like, well, yeah, I'm tweeting these cool things or saying something cool, but I have like 10 followers and nobody saw it. So I kind of can get, where it might be a turnoff if you obviously don't have a lot of friends or don't have a lot of followers. Once you have a lot of followers, then it's a lot of fun. So because then you can tweet out cool stuff and, your followers respond to you. So that's probably that hurdle getting over to, once you get followers, then it becomes a lot more exciting to use it.
Yeah, and just the more that you tweet, the more, more chance. Like you always yell at me when I put, I have typos in my, my tweets and
You
stuff.
try to tweet too fast. You're like,
Yeah, yeah,
and then
because it's like
you're so excited to hit the tweet button and send it out there. And then
Yeah.
I was like, Joe can't even spell. I'm like, spell the thing right, or you've
Twicker,
got a typo, or
Twicker.
you've got words connected, or you're like crazy. You're proofreading,
you know,
Joel. I have to slap you on the head.
Yeah, don't they have a spell check on there? But I tell you, also a buddy of mine who's a sports agent for some high-profile players in the NFL. I mean, he tells them, just keep your finger off that send button. There's just there's more trouble you can get into. People get carried away and have these Twitter battles. I'm an old-fashioned person. If I have something to mean to say something to somebody, I just go up and say it to their face. I don't tweet it out. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, the luster's off this stock. We're going nowhere near $50. I think we're gonna do the kind of Facebook kind of thing, not as quickly, but where was the original IPO prices? Where did they start out at that thing?
Wasn't it 26? Wasn't it?
Yeah,
what was the underwritten
26,
price?
30, and then 28 was the official number.
Was it 28? Was the 28 or 26 the official number? Or the actual people that bought from the underwriters? So
26, I thought.
That was 26 too.
Okay, so
everybody's sitting on a lot of gains here. I'll tell you. That's the one thing different about between this and Facebook. And with Facebook, they were underwater right away because the IPO 38 did go up to 42, but the next day it was already trading, below the IPO price. So everybody was sitting on losses. It's different in this case. They are all sitting on gains. So things starts cascading through the $40. What was the low? What's been the low? The trading lows?
Double bottom 38.80, and then the next day it went down to 38.92. But the first time we hit 40, we got that nice rally up to 45. Well, actually, we went to 39.40. We got that rip roaring rally back up to 45.67. But now you hit the 38.80 level, and at this point you've only managed a 3-point bounce. So not good signs for Twitter here.
Let's look. We've been saying a lot of bad news here, saying a lot of stocks looking weak. Well, there's a few stocks that have been looking strong here. Microsoft made a new high of the move yesterday. How many years since we've traded up this high, Joel? I know you were looking into that.
Yeah, I had to do my dailies and then my weeklies and then go back like 20 years. But the last time Mr. Softy traded up to this level, traded up at 38.78 in April of 2000. So if you've been holding on to Microsoft for a long time, you're having a chance to get out. Support is thin on this. I do like, though, I mean, it had the Monday low, Friday close trick right at 38.06, 38.13.
Oh, yeah.
We are trading down there in the pre-market, so I'm still holding in with Microsoft as long as it holds this $38 level.
And Merck, they had a million share seller at 50. It was sitting there for the last 3 days, kept getting up in the 49.90s, but could not get through there. Yesterday took him out. The Merck took out the 50, went as high as 50.42. Is trading back down here now, though. So this breakout, anybody that bought the million shares could become a fake out here because the stock is trading down 40 cents, 49.83 right now on Merck.
Did you participate?
No, actually, I was one shorting in front of it, but then I had covered it. It started getting too close, and I was like, it's going to take that one mighty blow. And I'm glad I did because it took it. Basically, the million shares went in a nanosecond, and then it was at 50.10 instantly. So I wish I would have been actually buying it ahead of it. I covered my short, but I did not get long in that on that breakout there.
And what do you think you would have got done? Like, let's say, you were tired of playing that, against the 50. You had a 50.01, 50. Where do you think you would have gotten filled to like a 50.01, 50.02 buy stop, or, because obviously 50.
50.09, 50.10 probably. I don't think you would have got 50.01, 50. I was watching it as it. I had on my screen as it was going, and it literally went boom 50, and before I was even looking, I was like 50.09. It was like instantly up there. So that's probably all the buy stops that were placed at 50.01, 50.02, executing and driving the price up to 50.08, 50.09. So you would have got it within a dime. So you're going to get hurt too bad. But if you had the sell, the buy stop to cover on the short there. But it went fast. The million share order went fast, and obviously it had a little bit of follow through right after that. We always say how fast it goes will dictate the next little while of trading. In the next hour, the stock rallied another 30, 40 cents there. Did close, kind of weak, came back down, and now I don't know if there's news on it or not, but trading down 40 cents, pretty significant here for Merck.
Okay, do we have any other stocks or that we want to take a look at here?
Well, we're starting to run short on time here. We are going to get Matt McCall here on in a few minutes. Just quickly, let's look at those 3D printing stocks. Brent, you were saying they're getting a little bit of analyst moves there this
It
morning?
was from FBR, I believe. Let me pull those up real quick. FBR starting coverage on Triple D with an outperform an $85 target, and then Stratasys, that's SSYS. They also started at FBR started with an outperform and a $155 target.
Whoa, that's
Yep.
a big target.
Yeah, that's what I
Both
thought too.
both those stocks trading a little bit higher here in the pre-market. You got Triple D trading up about $1 right now, 77.85, close to 76.89, and you got SSYS trading up about 67 cents right now, 119.51. Look at that resistance in that SSYS chart. That is gearing up. Is that gearing up to break out there, Joel?
Let me take a look at that one. I was looking
Wow.
at the one with your.
Oh, you want to look at Triple D first?
No, but now I'm switching up
That's
here.
a tight range.
So let's take a look. SSYS here. It's going. I think there's drones are getting a problem with my internet connection here because it's not.
A lot of drone interference these days.
Yeah. Let me see if I can just pull this one up and see what I can get by memory here. SYSS is the stock.
SSS.
SSY.
Sandy. Yep. SSYS.
Oh, they changed it.
They changed it
Oh.
on you.
Okay, that's why it's not. That's why it's not coming up here.
SSYS, yeah.
Oh, now I got too many.
Joel's dyslexic here. He's got SYSS. Come on, SSYS.
Okay, 120 major resistance, Dennis. 120.35 was a high of the move here. Haven't been able to get up there. Let's see what they've done in the pre-market. Pre-market high for this boy. Yeah, it did get up there. Got to 120.40 in the pre-market. That coincides with the 120.35 high here. So yeah, I'll give it. I mean, if it comes back, if it can get up there, then it's in breakout land, and you got a lot of room up to over 125. But we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to be back with Matt McCall of Penn Financial Group, who trades the ETFs. He's going to give us some of his strategies and his ideas for the market. We'll be right back with you.
Just kidding about the break, ladies and gentlemen. We're actually going to hop right into editorial headlines. Matt McCall will be joining us in a few minutes shortly after 9 a.m. EST. Headlines from around the globe today. U.S. online sales are expected to hit $2 billion on Cyber Monday for the first time since the data firm ComScore has been tracking such information. A 20% increase is expected to come even after many consumers shopped earlier when retailers started offering their Cyber Monday deals on Sunday. The growth is not just a boon for online retailer Amazon.com. Bricks and mortar chains that have successfully integrated their e-commerce and in-store businesses also stand to gain from the online growth. Walmart stores, Target, Toys R Us, Macy's, JCPenney, and Best Buy were among brick and mortar chains that started their online deals early. Google is trying to claw its way into a business that it might have dominated but has largely ceded to Amazon.com. Wall Street Journal reported that the internet giant Tuesday plans to take the beta tag off Compute Engine, a signal to potential customers that Google is serious about the business of renting computing power to others. It is also announcing a small price cut and some new features. Amazon's Web Services unit has a commanding lead renting out computer horsepower to startups and other companies that don't want to invest their own equipment. Carlos Kirchner, an analyst with Sanford C. Bernstein, estimates that Amazon Web Services will generate $3 to $4 billion in revenue this year, up from $1.8 billion in 2012. Research firm Gartner said in August that Amazon had rented out over 5 times as much space on its servers as its nearest 14 rivals combined. China Mobile has quietly begun taking pre-orders for Apple iPhones. The site went live late Monday local time when it began taking pre-orders for the iPhone 5S and iPhone 5C. It was the first concrete evidence that a distribution deal, 6 years in the making, between Apple and the world's largest mobile carrier has been consummated. With its 740 million subscribers, China Mobile is both Apple's biggest holdout and its biggest surprise. Well, prize, not surprise. Japan is moving closer to legalize gambling in the country, the Wall Street Journal reported yesterday. Lawmakers will submit a bill to legalize gambling within the next few days. Proponents of the bill believe that legalizing gambling will provide a strong boost to the government's growth plans. The bipartisan bill is likely to pass Parliament in 2014, with the ultimate objective of having at least one operational casino running before Tokyo hosts the 2020 Summer Olympic Games. Frank DePascali Jr., a former aide to Bernard Madoff, is facing up to 125 years in prison after pleading guilty in 2009. He testified in court yesterday that Madoff's firm ran an extensive fraud lasting decades. "We were lying," he said, referring to former Madoff colleagues on trial for allegedly helping Madoff pull off his massive Ponzi scheme. "I'm talking about trades that actually didn't exist." DePascali, now a government witness, said he created fake books and records during his 33 years at Madoff's firm, saying it was pretty extensive. Fake trading went on for as long as he can remember, he testified. Apple has acquired Topsy Labs, a social media analytics company that analyzes a range of data from Twitter, according to a Wall Street Journal report. Apple paid more than $200 million for Topsy, the journal said. The company provides a range of tools to make sense of data across the social web and use it to divine customer sentiment. For example, marketers can use Topsy's tools to measure the success of ad campaigns, identify thoughts and opinions over time, and search and analyze hashtags across years of online chatter. The Detroit News reported that U.S. consumers, in part driven by Black Friday specials, likely pushed November auto sales, up between 3.6% and 6.8% over the same month a year ago, and possibly to the best November sales total in a decade. Analysts believe buyers purchased about 1.2 million vehicles in the U.S. last month. The bullish November sales follow an October that wasn't as strong a sales month as some expected, due partly to a 16-day federal government shutdown that kept some out of showrooms early in the month. Still, October sales rose 10.6% from October 2012. General Motors stock closed at an all-time high Monday at $39.11, the highest closing since its initial public offering 3 years ago. General Motors stock was up 38 cents, or nearly 1 percentage point. Its previous closing high was $38.98 on January 7, 2010. Late last month, U.S. Treasury announced plans to sell off the rest of its stake in General Motors by December 31st, 3 months earlier than its previously announced deadline to sell its shares of GM by the end of first quarter 2014. And Hilton Worldwide, the lodging chain bought by Blackstone Group in 2007, plans to raise as much as $2.4 billion in its U.S. initial public offering, the most ever for a hotel company. The McLean, Virginia-based hotel operator and existing shareholders plan to sell 112.8 million shares for $18 to $21 each, according to a regulatory filing today. Hilton, the world's largest hotel company with more than 4,000 properties, plans to sell 64.1 million of the total, using its proceeds to help repay $1.25 billion of debt. New York-based Blackstone isn't selling any of its stock. And today's strange news. Following Auburn's last-second upset of Alabama on Saturday night, a 28-year-old Birmingham woman is charged with murder following a deadly shooting at an Iron Bowl party in Hoover. The victim's sister said her sister was an Alabama fan, but even more than Alabama, she loved the Miami Heat. After the game ended, she and her sister were joking around, not about Alabama's loss, but about the Miami Heat. The shooter apparently took their joking the wrong way and became mad that they weren't more upset over Alabama's loss. And on the other side, cremated remains were discovered near the 40-yard line along the Auburn sideline inside Jordan-Hare Stadium on Monday, 2 days after the Tigers' 34-28 victory in the Iron Bowl. Auburn officials are not sure if the remains are human, but bone fragments were discovered scattered with the ashes. It could have been Grandma, or it could have been Grandma's dog, said Scott McElroy, associate professor for turf grass and weed science at Auburn University. It happens a lot more than you think, McElroy said. People want their final resting place to be Jordan-Hare Stadium. Not me. Joel probably does, though. He probably wants to... Joel, you want your ashes spread at Ford Field, right? Or Comerica Park?
Well, I thought I took a Michigan-Ohio State loss, bad. Jesus, Murphy going out and shooting your sister? Did I hear that right, Joe?
No, I believe there was an additional person that was the shooter. The two sisters were joking around, and the shooter took it to heart and decided to take matters into their own hands. Isn't that messed up?
Yeah, that really takes the... That's really unbelievable news, Joe. Thanks for the good news there.
Yeah. And just one more thing. This show would not be possible without our dear friends at OptionsHouse that will offer anyone who signs up from this page 150 commission-free trades. All you have to do is click the link at the top of the page or one of the ads along the side that say open an account, get 150 commission-free trades just because you listen to Benzinga's pre-market info. It appears that our special guest Matthew McCall might be just a few minutes late. He just emailed me saying that he's stuck in a cab, so we all know how much fun that is. I wonder if he's physically stuck to the seat or if he's actually just stuck in traffic. Anyone else have anything to contribute while we have a few minutes here?
Hey, we did have those Chrysler numbers out a little bit earlier, about 8 a.m. I believe it was. They reported November auto sales growth of 16%. Chrysler is generally the first automaker to report their monthly sales figures. We will get Ford and GM also today. I believe Ford is usually before GM. I think GM usually right at 10 and Ford maybe right around the open. So watch those names today. I don't know if you want to take a look at some quick levels in those, Joel.
I was going to say, is GM going to make another all-time high today if sales report or the auto sales report is positive?
This thing is kind of quietly snuck up here to the $40 level. That they did have good earnings here. This is, I believe, the highest level that GM has traded at since the IPO. Let me take a look. Going back longer term. Nope, you did had a high off the IPO here, 39.48. That's an all-time high for the new government-less motors. So let's keep an eye on that. Yesterday, you did get to 39.39. So perhaps some size kicking around too at the 39.50 area. That's all-time high. Coming back on the downside, if you're stuck short this thing, you needed to see it take out 38.91. That was a low from yesterday, but PDJ was I wonder if he's a local boy because he was wondering if those remains in Jordan Hare Stadium were that of the late and great Jimmy Hoffa, the former Teamsters boss. So
I mean, I don't think Jimmy Hoffa made it out of Michigan, PDJ. Sorry to burst your bubble, but if there are any remains left of Hoffa, we're not going to find
well,
them.
you know where he supposedly is buried
Where?
underneath Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands.
Why? But I mean, like, I was watching The Wire over the weekend, and why would anyone leave a body like Jimmy Hoffa's completely intact? He probably went through the wood chipper like the guy in Fargo.
Oh boy, Joe is just a beacon of good news here, man. I think we gotta get.
I'm sorry, I'm a forensic science buff.
Yeah.
And
CSI.
but PDJ, I'm not sure where you're located, but we're just a few miles from the place that Jimmy Hoffa was last seen alive. It's about 5 miles north of our office here at Maple and Telegraph, and I think July 1975.
Yeah, yeah. Joe, what are you doing for lunch? You want to go to the Marcus Red Fox?
Well, it's unfortunately Macus Red Fox is no more, but I do have some glasses from there in my cupboard at home because my dad used to work there when he was a teenager. Now it is called Andiamo.
Ooh,
And,
fancy.
Yeah. It's too bad though that the end of the Hoffa movie with Jack Nicholson didn't end in Michigan. It ended out at some podunk little diner in the sticks.
Hee haw.
Yep. Well, looks like we can take our break now and get Matt McCall on the line and then start grilling him about ETFs and Penn Financial Group.
Okay, we'll be right back. Welcome back, traders and investors, to pre-market info on the Options House platform. I have Matthew McCall of Penn Financial Group. Matt, busy morning for you, huh?
It was a busy morning, yeah. Not work-wise, but living in New York City, sometimes it's tough to get around.
Okay, well, you made it in, so we're glad to have you back for an interview here. And the last time we found out about your education, your background, and all this stuff. But I would want to ask you a little bit different question here. How do you prepare for your trading day? I mean, do you do a lot of your analysis? Do you look at charts at night? Or are you kind of guy that just has your systems? You hit the button in the morning, you print out your buy and sell orders, or What do you do to prepare for the markets?
Yeah, I'm not one of those. I don't want to call it black box, but there are a lot of people that just have, they come in, hit the button, and says this is green, this is red, this is buy, this is sell. Unfortunately, I've never found that to work because I believe the market is not that easy. It can be simple if you find a simple way to attack it, but it's not that easy to hit a button. And there's a lot of people out there that try to sell systems like that. Unfortunately, a lot of times it works until it stops working. So you have to kind of catch it when it works, and when it doesn't, it doesn't work very well. Me personally, I look at a lot of charts. I started this business as a technical analyst, so I think the charts tell the story of the market of individual stocks or ETFs, and then of course constantly reading. When I speak at seminars and do things like this, Joel, I can't really put enough presence on just education and reading. You may think you know everything, but you don't. I've been doing this for over a decade. I love this. I think I'm very good at it. The problem is, though, I'm not going to sit back and say, you know what, I'm good enough. It's like a superstar athlete. Once they get to the pinnacle of their sport, they don't stop working out. You have to continually work out. And I'm not comparing myself to a superstar athlete, but I'm saying as the average investor out there, I think you must continually read, continually educate, and a lot of it's going to be garbage, but you take what you can out of there. So I try to read as much as possible. When it comes to the actual daytime waking up, charts before I go to bed, and then wake up in the morning, same thing, charts, and of course, see what's going on around the world. I love reading what's going on in China and everywhere else around the world.
Well, a superstar athlete also probably would have jogged home from the gym instead of taking a cab.
All right, so you got to tell everybody to take a cab home from the gym, huh?
Well, I don't know if you heard or not, but I told everyone before you came on.
Oh, thanks. I did not hear. I was in the cab. How could I hear?
Because you could listen to Options House.
Yeah, that's right. You can listen to
sing
the show
on your mobile device.
That's right.
Come on.
That was a softball for you guys. I set that up
okay.
for you.
All right. So I'm a big S&P 500 futures. I love to follow. I love to follow the 24-hour market. That's my main staple when I do my. I'm really more old-fashioned than anybody. I still do the levels by hand. What's your? I mean, do you follow the I can't even get that word. The old Dow Jones Industrials. You follow the S&Ps, or do you stick with your ETF medicine with the Spider? What's your go-to indicator?
I'll use the S&P, but more and more of these days I'm using the Spider, just because a lot of people that follow me, they know the levels on a Spider versus the S&P 500. I'm still old school. I personally do the S&P 500. That's just what I've always learned. And the Dow only being 30 stocks, 30 large cap stocks, it's not a true barometer of the market in my mind. And even the S&P 500 largest stocks, not a true barometer of the overall market. But for the most part, I think a lot of people know it, so it's obviously easy to get that information out there. And I think it's just an overall barometer for me. So I'm not going to base all my buys and sells on my individual stocks and ETFs on what the S&P 500 is doing, but it does give you a great idea of what's going on. I'm looking at it right now, and I've been saying actually for about 2 weeks, I think we're extremely overbought here. I think we're due for a pullback. I think it may have started actually last week, and I think we followed through yesterday. We could have some more downside. So I look at the S&P 500 and say, okay, well, there's the 50-day moving average. We could easily pull back to that, which is the middle end of the range. At that point, maybe start doing some buying there.
And where does that 50-day come in? And so the Spider. So that's you just have the SPOOs up on your screen, or you just SPY. You're not even paying attention to the SPOOs.
No, I'm looking at the S&P 500 right now. So it closed yesterday, 1,800. So the 50-day moving average is around 1,745. So just call it 1,750. So right around that 1,750 area is where I'm looking for support. And if you draw, going all the way back to April, as a matter of fact, you can draw the trend lines on the upper end and lower end of this trading range, and that kind of falls right in the middle of that trading range. So a lot of times we've actually pulled back. As a matter of fact, in June, August, and October, we pulled back to the lower end of that trading range, which right now is around 1,700. I don't see us pulling back another 100 points in the near term. So I think probably pulling back about halfway would give us a nice entry. Plus, as far as reward versus risk, when you're buying here, obviously your risk comes all the way down to 1,700 because it's a lower end of the range. If you're buying at 1,750, it cuts your risk in half and increases your reward dramatically. So if I see 1,750 S&P 500, unless something changes, I'll probably start doing some major buying at that level.
Okay, I'm kind of stuck in some weekly Spider 181 puts, and so it's not going to get to 1750 this week, right? I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer than that.
I would be surprised. I mean, you're looking at, a 3% pullback or so if that happens. I'd be very surprised if you see a 3% pullback in the next 4 trading days. I got to tell you, I'm extremely long in the market. If that happened, it would kind of stink for a couple of days, but I'd like it. I think it'd be a way to really wash out any of the weak holders out there. And every once in a while, you know as well as I do, you kind of need a bit of a sell-off like that to get the market back to normal. I consider it a healthy pullback. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to get it by Friday for you.
Okay, so you look at your charts, you do your ETFs, and SJC here is, what factors do you look at to drive the market? I mean, are you looking at the ETFs on oil, gold, bonds, the dollar, money supply? Are you following those things, or are you strictly, sticking with the technical formations in your ETFs that you trade?
Well, a lot of the investing I do, besides just the technicals that we talked about, I look at what I call macro themes. I do a top-down approach to my investing, and I always have. I just look at the market as a whole, break it down into countries, sectors, and then down into individual ETF stocks. So I try to find what I consider macro themes. And of course, they don't come along every day or every month. They're longer term. One, for example, that I like, we own Ford Motor, for example, symbol Ford. Look at the auto companies as of late. The average age of an automobile on the road right now is the highest ever. We're seeing auto sales starting to tick up again in Europe. Auto sales that just came out of China this last week were very bullish. So you're seeing this industry, to me, at a level that's come down to, we have to have people in America need to upgrade the cars, new cars. You're seeing people in emerging markets that never had enough money to buy cars that can now buy cars. In Europe, people were sitting on cash for a very long time because of what went on, are now back out making larger purchases. So you look at it as a whole, at three different continents, and an industry that could really benefit from that, and that has really trimmed its fat, of course, with the unions over the last couple of years. So that I look at these macro themes as well, and then from there try to pick, okay, you can come up with a macro theme, but what do you do with it? Do you buy the ETF, which is CARS, CARZ, which is a basket of the large auto manufacturers? Do you buy individual stock like Ford? I did both those. Or do you buy like a Toyota? You look at Japanese. Or do you buy the auto parts makers or auto retail stores? There's a lot of things to look at from there. But that's another thing I try to do on a daily basis. But again, we don't come up with them very often.
And so how you playing, you mentioned an individual stock here, so how you playing this Ford here? I mean, it can't get through 1720. I mean, sticking out like a sore thumb here. Are you a little bit worried it's putting in a topping formation there, and you're going to try and lighten up if it gets up to that 1720 area? Or are you a Momo guy, and if it breaks above that 7020, you're going to buy, some more shares?
Well, this is a bit of a different play for me. We do swing trading here, which would be this chart I wouldn't really like for swing trading, but I'd look for a break at about 720, as you said. But this is a long-term theme. We're looking at this is going to be a theme that takes years to play out. So I can't try to get every little swing in the market. We bought in around 1680 about a month and a half ago, I believe. It ran up to 18 and change. Sure, could you have taken a 12% profit? Yeah, but for a big-time gain here. Longer term, I see, pull back in October, and then we pull back again in November. Every time we pull back, it's been to a little bit higher of a level. So that's good for me. So it's almost forming a bit of a symmetrical triangle formation, where if it breaks above 720, it's great. If it breaks below 1650 or 60, then obviously I got some issues.
Okay, there's a lot of different ETFs out there, and there's liquid ones and illiquid ones. Do you stay away from those illiquid ones?
I don't, and the misconception is if they don't trade a lot of volume that you shouldn't invest in them, which is not true. Unfortunately, the industry gets a bad name when it comes to that. There's a lot of ETFs that do not trade a lot of shares. They may trade a few thousand shares a day. But what's more important is the bid-ask spread. If you look at the bid-ask spread, it might be, let's say, 28.50 by 28.25. If it's 5 cents, then I'm okay with it, because I'm going to you put a limit order in. Many times your broker will get your shares filled. If you're buying large amounts, you call your broker, and you actually a lot of times can call through, and they actually will create shares for you. But for the average investor who's buying a few hundred shares, 1,000 shares, put in a limit order. If it gets filled, it gets filled. If not, then it wasn't meant to be in my mind. But you look at the bid-ask, because if the bid-ask spread is, let's say, 2 or 3%. As soon as you buy, you're down 2 or 3%. So there's no reason to do that. So I look at bid-ask spread. Obviously, I would ideally like to have more volume, but there's certain situations with niche ETFs that I go for it anyway.
Okay, just going back to the auto plays here, and I was looking for a little bit of a retracement in the Tesla. SJC thinks Ford's a little bit boring. He looks to maybe be a more active day trader, and he mentions the money supply. I remember the money supply that used to be an indicator. How long was that ago? 10, 15, 20 years ago, where people looked at the money supply, but. Going back, Tesla, does that fit into your car scenario, or is that just the PE just scare you away from something like that?
Well, considering I took a cab today and I didn't walk home, I'm not much of a greenie. So I could care less about the electric cars. To be honest with you, I think Tesla. I think Elon Musk is a genius, and he'll probably figure this out. Way too overvalued for me. Too many potential issues going forward. With the fires and everything else, and they're still not selling a lot of vehicles. I mean, they're very expensive vehicles. We're not there yet. I don't know if we get to the point in the next 10 years where electric vehicles really run it. Because with gas prices coming down, more energy being found here in the United States, I just don't see the electric vehicles really taking off in the near future. So to me, I'd stay away from it here. Technically, it's broken down as well, as you can see in the chart. It has broken down, and I think we could pull back down into the 80 level. I may visit the 80 level if it comes down there, but right now I think there's no reason to take the risk with Tesla.
Okay, and so you talked about the spiders and the cars. I mean, how many different ETFs do you trade? Do you have, favorite ones, non-favorite ones, or how many actually ETFs do you trade?
A lot. I'm looking right now at a list. I'm working on my 2014 outlook. Every year I put together an outlook, ETF stocks, major themes, it's about 15 or 20 pages. And I put actual specific plays in there. I try to break it down to about maybe 10 to 15 ETFs and about 10 to 15 stocks in the outlook. I have a list now of about 35 ETFs, and I'm not even done going through them all. So, everything I'm looking at right now, from an IPO ETF to a cloud computing ETF, to a water ETF, to an ETF that tracks Japan at the same time shorts the yen. So it could be whatever themes I think are going at that time. If there's an ETF out there for it, it comes on my watch list.
Okay, now you did, and this is in the news here. You did an ETF article yesterday on drones, and that was big in the news yesterday. We discussed it earlier on the show. Those stocks just took off, flying off the open, and just crashed the rest of the day. So how you looking at this? I mean, the FAA, are they going to allow this? What is the ETF for the drones? What is it? FLYY or something? What is
Unfortunately, no ETFs out there for drones yet, but there is an ETF, Robo, ROBO, which is about the closest as you're going to get to. It's the Robo Stocks Global Robotics and Automation ETF. It's a mouthful, but Robo is a symbol. Just started trading in October. This one of the third largest share there is Aero Environment, which is AVAV, which is a drone company. They do drones as well as charging stations for electric vehicles, and that's one of the companies that took off yesterday. AVAV off the open, rallied up to 31.5 and closed at 29.91. So you can see this company was really rallying on that play. But I will tell you, there's another smaller stock in there that it's often overlooked. It's an Israeli company. It's called Elbit Systems, symbol ESLT. It's a stock that I own. It's a stock that actually gapped up on last Friday, and then it was up again yesterday about 0.3%. Closed at the best level, I believe, ever. Or no, sorry, best level since 2011. But the chart on this stock looks fantastic. It doesn't trade a whole heck of a lot. I'll tell you that. I only trade 34,000 shares yesterday. But this is one of the largest drone players in the world. Does a lot. It's based in Israel. Does a lot of sales in Israel, defense as well as drones. Also, it does about a fourth of their sales to the United States as well, U.S. government. This is an interesting play to keep an eye on.
Okay, now you trade the ETFs. Do you try and incorporate any option plays or option strategies into that? And also, you're definitely we're more short-term traders here. What is your typical holding period for your trades?
Well, first of all, the options, very, very rarely. The only options that I'll use, I'll do some covered calls depending on the environment. If I think it's the volatility is a little bit high enough to get some premiums out of it. On longer term positions, I'll just try to knock down my cost basis, bring in some income doing that. But it's been kind of rare recently only because the market's been too strong that I don't want to risk getting called out of a position with a covered call. So that's about the only thing I do options wise for my clients. I might play around for some stuff myself, but for clients, that's all I do. And then what was the second question?
Typical holding period.
Oh, holding period. Sorry. It's gonna for the newsletter for Market Force, a newsletter which we do through Benzinga. With that, it's going to be anywhere between a few days to 2 months. I believe our average right now is about 3.5 weeks. And the reason I don't like to give a time frame because you know as well as I do, you may hit one in the morning, and I've had this before, and you sell by the end of the day. You just get a nice 5% pop. You know what? If you get that in 24 hours, let's take it and run. Let's not get greedy. There's other times that you get into a position, a stock or an ETF, it runs and keeps running. You can put a trailing stop in, and it just keeps going. And that's great too. Or vice versa. If you have one go against you very quickly, you want to get out. So to me, I will hold longer if the chart still looks good and it holds support. Why get out? Why try to find another winner when you have a winner? So that's why sometimes the holding period's a bit longer. For my clients, we have positions. FMC, for example, it's a chemical company, very large, diverse chemical company. FMC, we bought about 5 years ago. We're up almost 300%. And it still looks good. It hit a new all-time high 2 weeks ago. So for me, I'm going to let that keep going. There's no reason to sell at that point. The fundamentals are still good. The chart looks good, and the business plan still looks good. So I let the position really dictate the holding period.
Okay, so what do you think about the oil refiners with the Brent crack spread close to $20 here? DJ's, what ETF would best take advantage of this trade? And I guess he's looking. I guess he's getting bullish oil down here with that crack spread narrowing. Or what? What do you play the USO for that?
Yeah, I actually own some of the USO right now. I think we're right around break even, as a matter of fact, on that. When I look at USO, the problem with this ETF, it does the front month contracts, crude contracts, and it's not the Brent, it's the West Texas, what it uses. The problem with that, you can run into Tango, which you have to obviously roll out to the next front month, and every time that contract expires, roll into a new one, and that could obviously weigh on the price of the ETF. I look at USO and obviously had a major breakdown middle of last week. It was consolidating, going sideways, but then we had the Iran deal, which came through, which I think is a bunch of BS, so I'm not too worried about it. And you can see USO snapped right back from that. I need to see USO break above about 34.5. If we can do that, I think we're looking much better. As I said, we're about break even here, and I'm willing to hold at this point. And I think just oil is very oversold. I think we're due for a bounce. And I also look not only at crack spread, but I look at the value of the U.S. dollar as well, because obviously there's a relation between the U.S. dollar and commodities, specifically oil. A weak dollar as inverse effect on oil. And a dollar right now, it bounced yesterday, but I'm not too keen here on a dollar, though, right now. So I think the dollar continues to fall, which would be good for oil.
Okay, any emerging market plays?
I'd say probably. I mean, emerging markets obviously have not had a good year at all. You can really look all around. There's two that I would say I like. I'm giving away two of my topics here for next year. One is the Greece ETF, GREK, Global X Greece ETF. The PE ratio of the Greek equivalent of the S&P 500, let's say, is at 2. I mean, 2.0, which is absolutely insane to me. And obviously, the reason it trades at such a low multiple is we all know what happened in Greece. But I just think things have been turning around. Greece is not going anywhere. It's not falling off into the sea. It's not leaving the EU. It never was going to leave the EU. I see great possibilities here when it comes to GREK. It's had a pretty good year already, with a few emerging markets actually doing well. And the other one is Econ, ECON. And this is the emerging market consumer ETF. So it's a basket of stocks based in the emerging markets, which will target the consumers that live in the emerging markets, not people outside emerging markets, but the middle class that's growing in these emerging markets. And the emerging market index got crushed this year, and Econ is actually up this year. So it's greatly outperformed already. Very choppy chart, but I think longer term, these are probably my two favorite emerging market plays.
Okay, and I just was looking at that USO. It looks like it's finding some major support here at the $33 level. Just wanted to get your take here, just on your overall market call here. I was looking at the S&Ps and just had that 4 or 5 closes right in a 3-point range, which was very, very rare. And Chelsea's just looking at, we're trading down here. Do you take some chips off the table here, or do you wait for a rally back up, to the $1,800 level? Or, if you've been a long-term investor in here, and what's your call? Do you think put some hedges on now, or wait for a little pop? Or if you're long-term, just ride out this dip to 1750?
Yeah, if you're long term, I do absolutely nothing. I mean, 2 days ago, we had a new intraday all-time high. 3 days ago, we closed at a new all-time high. So if you're trying to pick the top, you would have been trying to do this several times in the last year or two. And the problem with this is, in an ideal world, you sell here, sure. And you get back in if you pull back, let's say that 1750 level I'm looking at. But in an ideal world, it doesn't pull back immediately to 1750. It may pull 1760 and you never get back in, and then you're chasing your tail. So as a long-term investor, you do absolutely nothing. Because as long as this uptrend continues, you're going to have natural rotation up and down, and you're going to have some positions do better than others. Sit in your hands, go run around the park for next week or two. Don't do anything. If you're a swing trader short term, yeah, I think you could take some profit here. Or if you have something that's underperforming, get out here. You could get back in. I think it's a lot of positions that are overbought at this level, and I think we tend to see about a 2 to 3% pullback in the next week or two. But I do think we end higher by the end of the year. So use any type of weakness to buy into. So if you are a swing trader and you know how to do that, yes, I take some profits here. I wouldn't sell everything. Because you know what, the market to me looked toppy about 3 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago, and we continue to move higher, another 40 points. So a little bit off the table, but I still keep some in there.
Okay, all right. We've had Matt Bacall on of Penn Financial Group. You can check out his product on MarketFi if more interested in trading the ETFs. Matt, thanks a lot for coming on. It's a great interview. It's great to get your perspective on the markets here, and we'll let you get on with your trading day. Thanks again.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you very much.
We love you, Matt.
Okay, we had missing the voice of Shaky Jake here, and he's going to come in and give us some market movers here right before the open.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Joel. I do have a list of some stocks moving this morning in the pre-market, so I figure I'll get things started. With one of the favorites for everybody to watch is Tesla, Tango Sandy Lima Alpha. Shares up over 6% this morning. A German regulator after the close yesterday said they are going to drop the investigation against Tesla, and then Morgan Stanley added it to one of their top ideas as far as the auto sector goes. Joel, what do you think of Tesla here? This is
What are you trying to do to me? Okay. Oh my God.
Now it's up 7.3%. So in that last literally like 2 seconds, it went up 1.2%. That's Tesla for you, right?
Okay. Let me gather my wits here. I'm gonna buy the 130 puts. I'm gonna do a revenge trade on this one. Boy, this thing. I mean, I've been looking for this move up here, some kind of retracement. I mean, every move has a counter move. You've come off the 194 level, traded down to 116. I mean, longer term, this thing could easily go trade 150, 155 to be, still being a downtrend. What I'll be keeping an eye on, let's first give the pre-market high. If you are trading Tesla, pre-market high 134.20. That's an early number to keep an eye on. You get follow through that level. You had a high at 135.45 on the 18th, and then another high at 137.95. So I'm lamenting about this one here.
Another one we want to take a look at this morning is Delta. That's 3D Systems. They're up about 1.4% this morning. Company is actually presenting at a trade show, so there's going to be a lot of its new products out on the floor. Expecting a lot of industry analysts to be there checking out what kind of new 3D printing solutions they're coming out with. 3D printing sector has been on a run, as we know, this past 6 to 8 months. Joel, what do you think of these 3D printers? 3D Systems, Stratasys, X1. They all seem to be doing pretty well as of late.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me. These things have been going, straight up, so I kind of feel like I missed the boat on them. Looking at the pre-market trading and after hours, you did get a spike up to 78.57 here. No, yep, right before the markets closed at 8 o'clock last night, so that's a parameter on the upside. You had the pullback. You had major resistance at the high that you had over $80 at 81.60, so... nice move. I'd use that pre-market high as perhaps an exit point, 78.45.
And there was the bell. I just want to real quick go over Yum Brands before I hand it over to you to broadcast about the open. Yum Brands did release some guidance after the close yesterday, raised their expectations, but they released same-store sales guidance in China, put it at 1%. That looks to be disappointing traders. We saw a high of just below $80 yesterday. Shares are now down at 75.50 is what I'm seeing. So shares are down about 2.8% this morning. So another play on China there, and that's actually despite Goldman Sachs saying go long China. So this is a company that's very heavily exposed to the Chinese sector. Joel, what do you think of Yum Brands? That's Yankee Uniform Mike for all those following along with us on their own charts.
What we see is we've gone through the pre-market low at 75.10, made a low here at 74.83, so still in the general vicinity of the pre-market trading. So keeping an eye $75 area, 74.83 low. Going to the daily, boy, this is just a weird looking chart here. Look at that. You gap down through a major area here. I don't know, going back up to 76 was a low. It's resistance. You got forever and a brother to go up to fill the gap up to 77.38. So looking like this thing, if we can't hold the $75 level, not a lot in the 74s, 73s. You get down to the 72s. You had some major lows there. But I don't know. I think we'd have to get Dennis on here to take a look at this Gap Island chart. Just could kind of try and be patient if I was owning it, see if it get back into that gap area, try and sell it. If I was shorted, I'd hope for some momentum to take it down to the $72 level.
Something I want to alert our traders to right now, we did have Ford light vehicle sales numbers breaking there. They showed a November light vehicle sales gain of 7.1%. Analysts were looking for a gain of 5.6%. So that's beating analyst estimates. So, Joel, I don't know if you want to hop into Ford and see if we got any action there, but definitely something to take a look at there.
Yeah, Matt was talking about that stock as something to own it. I mean, this 1720 level is just sticking out here. You had multiple highs in that area, so I would use that as kind of an indication of a little bit of a top here. Once it gets a break above 1720 here, you do have some room on the upside. Coming back down, major support at the 1680 level. So just playing the ranges here until it breaks out above 1720 or below 1680. So Shaky Jake, thanks for taking us through the open there, and we'll get on here with the trading day. I just want to address one more question here from JH3, and he says, when you see big trades in the pre-market or after hours but no small size, what does that reveal? Well, if you see a big trades in the pre-market, big size, that means the big boys are out there and they're trading. I pay much more attention to size trading in the pre-market. Also, if it's taking place, like we'll just go back. There was like a 1 million share offer in Merck the other day. If you start seeing, if you're following the book and things like that, and you start seeing a lot of big trades going off, they could be nibbling at that size in the book, but much more significance on the big trades and the smaller trades, especially a couple times last week we talked about, believe it was on Wednesday or Friday. It was one of those days, and Walmart was up 75 cents on 3, 4, 500 share prints. I mean, there wasn't even a couple thousand shares printing. So I mean, a stock that trades millions of shares a day, those little prints mean nothing to me. Now, if if Walmart's trading up 60 cents and there's millions of shares being traded, then to me it certainly more validation to the move. Moving on, and Jake, just stop in if you got anything else you want to add on the movers here. Just go back to the Tesla here. I didn't hear that news about the lack of or that investigation being dropped. That certainly is relieved shareholders here, trading up 9 sticks here, 133.94 high. Just want to alert our traders, see if we can get through that pre-market high, and that pre-market high I believe was right in the we snuck over 134 here, had a 134.20 high in the Tesla, so keeping an eye on that. The S&Ps are just rejecting this lower open here. They touched 92 even in the pre-market. That was the 6-day low. Hit that exactly. Only got to 93.50 during the regular session here. So let's just keep an eye, see if it can hold that pre-market low here, at least into the first 15 minutes trading, and then perhaps get a rally back up to that magical $1,800 level. Moving on here to other issues. They're loving that upgrade here in Apple. Perhaps the strategy of selling into that upgrade was not such the best strategy. Apple Computer here. Let's just take a look, folks. If you want to hold out for yesterday's high in Apple, 564.33 was Monday's high, so only a couple bucks away there. Nice move for Apple on that upgrade.
Joel, I want to give you a quick update on that. Those Ford vehicle numbers. It looks like the Ford brand itself is actually hurting pretty badly. Focus sales are down 16.8% year over year. The C-Max sales are down 50.5% year over year. So I think that may be why shares are trading only trading up slightly. Overall, the numbers looked good, but a lot of the different more inexpensive Ford vehicles are down, although the Police Interceptor utility seems to be absolutely killing it with 116.5% growth. So it looks like a new vehicle they're bringing out. The Lincoln brand isn't looking too strong. The new MKZ did very, very well. They wanted to highlight that, but he also saw the MKS not doing so hot, and they are still running with that one, while the MKT and MKX are not doing so well either. So interesting report there from Ford.
Yeah, then do you want to hear my Ford rant?
Go for it, Joel.
Dana owns the Escape. I believe it's the 13 Escape, and I think I've brought it in for like 2 or 3 recalls.
Oh, I thought we were up to a baker's dozen.
I don't know what it is,
Wow.
but they are recalling that thing again, and the worst thing about that is that I'm gonna have to take the car in, and then I'm gonna have to get a ride home with Joe.
Isn't that the worst? And a
Oh, man, that's
Chrysler,
rough.
no less, that has had 0 problems since I've owned it.
That's a first. That's got to be a first.
So you said it was Dana that has the Escape, Joel?
Well, actually, Dana and Emily have an Escape.
They both have them, but different ones, right?
Yeah. Emily currently has the one that I'm paying $300 a month for while she's up at college, not using it, and Dana got the newer one.
And Dana must be the daughter you like less, because that car's a death trap, obviously. They were like catching on fire, they had brake issues, they had fuel line problems, all before they were even on sale last year.
Now, you see, if you really knew Dana, you wouldn't be saying those kind of things, because she will never drive that car again if she heard you saying that.
Yeah, well, hey, my mom has one too, okay? So maybe she has a death wish, I don't know. But that car had more recalls than any other car I've heard out before it was even on sale.
Well, it's running, and like I said, maybe I could have Jason come and pick me up at the Ford dealership or something, or one of our trusty interns, Chelsea or somebody, to come and get me, so I don't have to ride with you, Joe. But let's just get back to the market here. We only got a few minutes left. If you guys have come out of that Options House chat room with just some tremendous questions for our guest Matt McCall, if there's any issues you want Jake to scan the news wires for, we'd like to do that for you as well, provide the best possible service. Let's just take a look at Krispy Kreme donuts, and it is getting creamed here. I used that one twice. I guess I can't use that anymore. Disappointing earnings here. Looking at taking out the pre-market low here. We've killed that $21 level. Started out above it, 2060. Got a pop. 2130 came back down, made 2050 low, folks. So the open and the low are still close to each other. I think under this 2050 level, I still think you're going to still find some buyers here. I think the free money on the short side is done. If it's not done, you had a low just under the $20 level at 1990 on October 3rd. So be keeping an eye on that level in Krispy Kreme donuts. Taking a look here, the Merckster took out that big seller at $50 yesterday. Million share seller. We'll have to put that one in the archives and see where we are a couple weeks from that. 50. We're trading in Merck right now. We are trading. Looks like we're trading up a little day, trying to save the S&Ps here from collapse. Got the 50.06. I think you're still going to see some problems in the stock between 50.06 up to that 50.42 high. Google now trading under 1050 here. You did have a couple lows in that area. You had a low at 1050.76 on yesterday, and then today. So trying to hold in here the 1050. Don't see a lot under this area until you get down to that 1042.94 low. Apple, if you were holding out for yesterday's high, stopped a buck short here. Got to, how high did Apple get to? Apple got to 563.44. Looks like someone's kind of transposing the numbers because Monday's high was 564.33. So little bit of a pop here in Apple. See if we can hold the 560 level. S&P's pulling back here. Pre-market low 92 even. That coincides with the 6-day low. So we'll keep an eye on that. Below 1692, folks. I wish I could tell you there was support in the market, but there's really not. I mean, minor support levels until you get down to that November 21st low of 1775.75. That'd be a target. I'd be happier than a pig and you know what if it got there today. But moving towards the end of the broadcast here, we got the Slavaman back on. Brent, you got anything to add? Any breaking news or previews for the rest of the week?
Let me see. Well, Chelsea said that she's definitely not picking you up from the dealership, so I think that's breaking on the BZ HQ front.
Joel, I'm your boy on this one. You can count on me.
Okay.
He's a sweet guy, that Joe.
Plus, Joel liked my car so much he wanted to get one himself. Just so everyone knows, it's a Chrysler 200.
Joe's fancy.
Nobody cares, though.
We are getting those vehicle sales numbers. We're still waiting on GM. I'm seeing Volkswagen crossing right now, right as we speak. I see a unit number. I don't see a growth or decline number there. I'll get back to you with that one. We are going to have ADP employment change tomorrow. That's for the month of November. Economists currently looking for around 170,000 gain. This ADP number setting up for Thursday's initial jobless claims and continuing claims number. Those estimates right now, we are looking at November 30th. For the week ended November 30th, that's for jobless claims, 320,000. And continuing claims for the week ended November 23rd, right around 2.8 million. That report setting up for the big jobs report on Friday. Non-farm numbers for November, also getting private sector numbers for November. It looks like that non-farm number did tick a little bit higher. I believe it was at 180,000 growth expected as of yesterday, and today I'm seeing 181,000. The private sector looks like it didn't change from when I checked yesterday. That's at 175,000. And also an unemployment rate expected to tick just a few little tidbits lower to 7.2%. Let's see, earnings really quickly. It's a pretty quiet earnings week, but let me just scroll through those really quick, see what kind of earnings we're going to be getting for the rest of this week. Who do we got? We got American Eagle on Thursday. We got Big Lots on Thursday. We have Dollar General on Wednesday. I'm going in reverse order. If you guys and gals can't tell, we're going to get Joseph A. Bank on Wednesday. Probably the bigger retailer of the week is going to be Kroger on Wednesday. Analysts right now around 53 cents on sales of almost 23 billion for Kroger. Wednesday we'll also see results from Pacific Sunwear. We were talking about some of the Canadian banks a little bit earlier. Right at the start of the show this morning, we're going to get results from Toronto Dominion. That is ticker TD on Wednesday. I think we're going to get another. Oh, we got BMO today. I think that might be the only other Canadian bank left. Also going to get results out of Express on Wednesday. That is tomorrow. Zoomies will be Thursday, and Aeropostale will also get tomorrow. Sorry for jumping around right there, but sort of running through my list pretty quickly.
Yeah, just while you're pulling those up,
Yeah.
What's a show without a question from DJ? And DJ's popping.
That's
in
no
here.
show, I would
Yeah,
say.
that's no show. I mean, we would have to cancel it.
Yep.
DJ's, he's a smart guy. He's following the icon train here.
That's a smart thing
I
here.
wish I could be saying the same thing here. DJ, looking at this CVR Energy monster move here, 36 to 39. So I hope you got in before that. What I'm looking at here, 41.29 was your high from yesterday's trading, and then if you go back to October, you had a high at 41 on the nose, and then you had another high at 41.30. So that's a penny away. So I like to see it, get up to that area, close above that 41.30 here, and get another ride up. I guess if you're trying to protect profits, not sure we got in on this. That $40 level, it's kind of a little bit of a psychological level. You're $1 away from there. 40.13 was your low from yesterday. I think that I would use that as an exit strategy on the downside. And then the other one, TLM. This is not really like an icon-looking chart here, because everything he buys just goes straight up here. And I guess he's still maneuvering his way under the board. But looking at tails, what's it? Tailspin energy? No, Tailsman energy here. Got some resistance over the $12 level. 12.26 was your high from yesterday. You've hit 12.17 so far. Today's trading, that also coincides with multiple highs you had at the beginning of the month, 23, 27, 21. So I'd like to see this thing bust out over 12.30 here. And then you could perhaps get up to that $12.60 area. But yeah, if you got in at 36.60, I'm not sure what you were risking on it, what your downside objective was, but certainly making a nice run in that CVR. So thanks for all the questions today and in the input. We'd love to hear from our traders and
Ton of great
investors.
questions today.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh my gosh,
Really?
they were lighting up the place. And we got to give a big shout out to Bert.
Bert.
Yeah, let's give out the shout out to Bert.
Bert!
Bert is one of our technicians here that has to deal with technically deficient people like me, and he's really been helping us out with our sound system. So we hope we've come through a little bit together, and we'll get his counterpart Adam working on the charts here.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to get all the symbols. So
Thanks, Bert.
okay,
Appreciate you, buddy.
okay, well, have a good day, and we'll talk with you guys tomorrow.